Still attached to the wall in her spacesuit is Christina Koch. This is going to be her first spacewalk. It will be Haig's second since he participated in one just last Friday that lasted 6 hours and 39 minutes. As I mentioned, Haig performed his first spacewalk last week. That was with Anne McClain, and during that spacewalk, they were able to finish up the installation of 3 of the 6 new batteries that are going to be installed. That's again following a lot of work by the grounds team to robotically get them into place and ready for the final installation. That work went really well, but over the weekend, the team here on the ground found that one of the batteries installed was not recharging. So after working on that over the course of the week, they've decided that they will actually try replacing that one lithium-ion battery, putting the old nickel-hydrogen battery back in its place. Koch and Haig won't be doing that replacement today, but at the end of the spacewalk, Haig will do some work to make it possible for the robotic arm to make the swap after the spacewalk. And then McClain and Saint-Jacques will be finishing up their work on their spacewalk scheduled for April 8th. You can see there we're making progress towards the beginning of today's spacewalk with Haig over in that crew lock section of the airlock. It's a small space and a tight fit for 2 people in spacesuits, but Haig, McClain and Saint-Jacques will be helping Koch to move into that area here in the next few minutes. While the crew continues the work of getting the spacewalkers into the crew lock portion of the airlock, we're going to pause and take a closer look at what Haig and Koch will be doing today. We've got some great animation of their work that we're going to give you, that we're going to show you now to give you a good idea, and that's next here on NASA TV.
Next, EV1, Nick Hague with the red stripes on his suit will head out to the worksite on P4. He will stop to retrieve an APF. At the worksite, EV1 will ingress the APFR. After plate is bolted into place, the astronauts will connect cable to complete the battery pair.
That again was a look at what astronauts Nick Hague and Christina Cook are going to be doing today. There is one update since that animation was produced. Although Christina Cook is going to go off and do those that get ahead work to prepare the P6 or Port 6 segment of the truss for its battery upgrade that's coming in the future. Nick Hague is instead going to go off and work to get some get-aheads done so that the robotic arm on the space station can do that battery switch out to replace the lithium-ion battery installed last week that is not recharging with two of the old nickel-hydrogen batteries. He'll be reconfiguring the two nickel-hydrogen batteries as well as the lithium-ion battery that's not charging so that they can be replaced by or switched out by the space station robotic arm, and then also getting a battery discharge control unit ready to be replaced robotically. The battery discharge control unit controls each battery's charge, so they're going to replace that and also switch out the new battery for two of the old batteries and see if that will help them keep the optimum amount of power generating at the space station. As you can see here, the space station's crew lock is getting full, both Cook and Hague inside of it now. If you've been following along, you may know that astronaut Anne McClain was originally planning to do this spacewalk with Christina Cook and what would have been the first spacewalk to be performed by two women. However, after completing her own first spacewalk last week, McClain made the decision that although she planned to wear a large hard upper torso, which is basically the shirt of the spacesuit, for today, she really needed to wear a medium, as she did last week, to give herself the best chance of success on the spacewalk. There are two medium hard upper torsos on board the space station, as well as two larges and two extra larges, but one of them would need about 12 additional hours of work to get it ready for a spacewalk, and Christina Cook was planning to wear the medium that was already configured. So McClain decided that the right course of action was to switch places with Nick Hague, letting him go out today with Cook, and then in turn she'll take his place on the April 8th spacewalk with David Saint-Jacques. So although we won't be seeing an all-female spacewalk today, unfortunately, as McClain said in a tweet she sent down from the space station, we are making history at the space station every day. McClain became the 13th woman to do a spacewalk last week, and Cook will become the 14th today. And with more women becoming astronauts these days, it's inevitable that we will eventually see an all-female spacewalk and many more female firsts to come. Over the course of today's spacewalk, we will be taking questions on social media, and you can get those questions to us using the hashtag AskNASA or by commenting on Facebook. on the International Space Station or NASA pages. But we have a few questions that we've already received that we'll try and take now. We have this one from T-Man asking, are all spacewalks done with a space suit jetpack equipped nowadays? And yes, they are. The jetpack is actually called a SAFER, which is a great NASA acronym for an EVA rescue system, but it is on all of the spacesuits that we are on all of the spacewalks that we do outside the International Space Station, and that is used just in case the crew members become untethered from the space station with which is really unlikely because they use a lot of tethers, but at NASA we like to be extra safe. And again, that is a SAFER, Simplified Aid for EVA Rescue, which looks like a jetpack. We also have
We have removed canisters 20 and 22 in step 63.
Those are good numbers. Thanks, Ann.
Astronaut Ann McClain there talking with the Capcom here on the ground, Tracy Caldwell Dyson, working through the procedures that the spacewalkers need to finish up to get ready for today's spacewalk. Again, it's scheduled for to begin at 7:20 a.m. Central Time, but they've been running ahead of schedule, so we may see them out the door early. But the next question that we have from social media is from Raja asking, how do astronauts regulate their body temperature? And underneath all that bulky spacesuit that you see them wearing, they actually have basically an undergarment with tubing run through it that carries cool water throughout, basically long john type of garment. That allows them to regulate their temperature and keep cool, or they can turn it off if they get to be too cold while they're in space. They work really hard, so they're working up a sweat, but that does help them be able to control their temperature, even though there's no air conditioning per se in the spacesuit. Speaking of temperature, the next one we have is from Kim asking what the external temperature outside the spacecraft is, and that is that can vary really widely. In the shadows, the astronauts can see temperatures of around negative 275 degrees, and in the sunlight, it can be positive 275 degrees. So they need to be protected from both of those extremes. And finally, from Adam, we have a question about there it is. There. One from Adam asking, are the spacewalks scheduled specifically to avoid decompression sickness? And they don't schedule the dates of the spacewalk to avoid decompression sickness, but the crew members do quite a bit of work before they even go outside the door to avoid that. They've got a long, what we call pre-breathe protocol that allows them to get the nitrogen out of their bloodstreams, which helps them avoid getting the bends. They also do a little light exercise to help prepare for that as well. And as you can see, David Saint-Jacques has closed the hatch between this portion of the airlock that he and Ann McClain are in and the crew lock portion that Christina Cook and Nick Hagen are in, getting ready to begin depressing that section of the station so that they can open the hatch and go outside.
An airlock for step 71.
Go ahead.
We are complete with steps 70 and 71, and it looks like our pre-breathe clock is at 1:25.
Okay, and we copy. We have 12 minutes left.
Being concur.
The 12 minutes that Tracy Caldwell Dyson there was referring to is the 12 minutes that is left in the total time that astronauts need to work on that pre-breathe protocol that they go through before going outside the space station. There's a prescribed amount of time that they need to spend doing that, and they've just got 12 minutes left before they can consider it done.
Airlock Houston, just let you know we're putting in step 72, and at the end of that, Airlock Houston, sorry, I got stepped on by a handover, and I was in the middle of telling you we're putting step 72 in work, and you know at the end of that EV crew will be hot mic on Space to Ground 1.
Okay, copy. Thanks, Tracy.
You bet. And for Christina, we have some cleanup steps from the COM cap troubleshooting. If you could take your pry volume
Copy.
to a comfortable level and set your alt to 3.
Copy. My pry is at a comfortable level, and my alt is currently in 4, so I'll change that.
Okay, Christina, we copy. You are on 4 and are moving it to 3, and we like that config.
Yep, and that is complete.
We copy.
Hearing there from astronaut Christina Cook, talking with Tracy Caldwell Dyson here on the ground, one of today's Capcoms. Cook did have some issues that the team had to troubleshoot with the communications equipment that she wears in her helmet this morning. Just double checking that everything is sounding good with the team here on the ground as she gets ready to go out for today's spacewalk, her first. Just 4 minutes left in the time that the crew going out for the spacewalk has to spend in their pre-breathe work, making sure that they do what's needed to avoid getting the bends when they go outside. Once that 4 minutes is up, they will be able to, assuming everything else is complete, begin depressurizing that crew lock portion of the airlock that they are in. And the team here on the ground just did a final check with all the necessary parties to make sure that they are go for when that time comes.
Peeking around, seeing what the lay of the lock is.
Yeah. Good call. Your crew lock bag is kind of below me.
Yeah, I see that. And my head is all the way starboard to give you as much room as I can.
All right, you're full starboard. Copy.
Yeah.
So when you open, you may need to come port.
Yeah,
I'll mosey port as well.
Yeah, I'm going to have to probably come maybe a foot or so.
Okay, no problem.
Airlock Houston on Space to Ground 1.
Yes,
we are complete with step 72. So EV crew is hot mic on Space to Ground 1. You have a go to press in step 73.
Copy, pressing in step 73.
And EV crew copies hot mic.
Copy, hot mic.
All right, and you guys have about 1:30 left on the go for depress clock.
Hey, Christina, on the 2 check steps for you, on the UIA, check that the switch depress pump power is off.
I heard a call from Tracy, but it didn't come through. Can you say again, Tracy?
Christina, Tracy was letting you guys know that you are now hot mic'd after the comm configuration.
Copy.
Copy.
Okay, Christina, check that the depress pump power is off on the UIA.
Depress pump power off. OF.
Check that the depress pump enable LED is on.
Depress pump enable LED is on.
And Houston airlock, that completes through step 75. Waiting on your go for the crew lock depress Q-cutter.
Copy in. We'll be ready in 50 seconds. I'll give you the go.
Ready in 50 seconds.
Airlock Houston, Space to Ground 1. You have a go for depress.
You have a go for depress. Lock copy. Nick and Christina, are you ready to step into the depress Q-card?
One's ready.
EV2 go.
Okay, step 1. On the UIA, Christina, switch depress pump power to on.
Depress pump power on.
Okay, we're going to wait 10 seconds for a startup.
Copy.
Capcom Tracy Caldwell Dyson gave the crew the go to begin the depressurization of the crew lock, that the area of the space station that Christina Cook and Nick Hague are waiting inside their spacesuits, their extravehicular mobility units, getting ready to open the hatch on the other side so that they can go out into the vacuum. This process takes about 30 minutes. It involves kind of pulling all of as much of the air as possible out of the crew lock portion of the space station to avoid losing more air than they have to when they open the other hatch.
Airlock pressure 13.5. Airlock pressure 12.
Copy.
Seeing the pressure inside the crew lock portion of the airlock falling from the 14 PSIs, pounds per square inch, that the space station operates at, now just under 11 pounds per square inch, looking to get to 0.
Copy those.
Airlock pressure 11. Airlock pressure 9.
A reminder that when your pressure gets to 6, expect an alert tone.
One copy.
Copy.
Christina Cook calling down that the airlock pressure is now down to about 9 pounds per square inch. They're looking first to get to 6 pounds per square inch, which is when, as Ann McLean just said, they'll get an alert to let them know they've reached that.
Airlock pressure 6.9.
We should be approaching 6.0, and a reminder to expect an alert tone at 6.
One copy.
Copy.
Crew members inside the crew lock, Christina Cook and Nick Hague, made it down to that 5 pounds per square inch mark, the 5 psi inside the crew lock, continuing to work through the depressurization. In total, it takes about 30 minutes, and we're a few minutes into it. So while we have a few more minutes left, we'll take a few more social media questions. And just a reminder that you can put yours, send yours in to us using the hashtag AskNASA. First one is from Paul, who is asking, after we talked earlier about the jetpack, the Safer, asking if it's ever been used. And it has been used, but only to test. We've never had anybody actually come untethered and need to make their way back to the space station, but that is something that every astronaut trains for on the ground.
Copy. At 5, we'll take man ourselves out to close.
And Keith Wells, I guess, was watching as the crew was getting into the crew lock portion of the airlock and is asking, why is one astronaut facing inward while the other faces outward? It is a little bit of a puzzle to get the crew members into such a small space in such big spacesuits, so that is just the way that they fit best and are able to complete their task. And Paul Hansen is asking, what's the pressure inside the spacesuits? The the crew lock they are inside of is going down to 0, but of course the pressure inside the spacesuits doesn't match that. They aim for about 4.3 pounds per square inch, and that varies a little bit, but that is what the crew members will be experiencing inside their spacesuit. It does make the spacesuit pretty difficult to work in. Spacewalks are one of the most difficult things that astronauts do. They pretty typically all say that they're extremely physically challenging. So part of that is because they are working against the pressure in the spacesuit to complete all the difficult tasks that they have to do.
Press top man ISO valve to close.
Copy. Defense man ISO valve closed.
Copy. Both crew members, you're going to configure for the leak check. So switch your display status until leak check question mark is displayed, and then hold yes for 2 seconds and follow the displayed instructions.
1 copies.
2 copies in work.
Crew lock a little below the 5 pounds PSI mark, and right now the crew is doing a leak check before they move on and continue to depressurize that section.
EV2 leak check complete.
EV1, leak check complete.
Copy. We have 2 leak checks complete. Moving to step 6. Check that your O2 actuator is in EVA.
In work.
And then work. Onto an EVA.
Copy. EV1 in EVA.
And EV2 is in EVA.
Copy. Both crew members are in O2 actuator EVA. Step 7. Christina, you can take the depress pump man ISO valve to open and expect an alert tone.
Copy and work.
And David will take the emergency MPEV to open, and both crew members monitor your CP gauge less than 5.5.
2 copies. Depress pump non-isolation valve in open.
Reminder, as your DCM toggles, you'll get an alert tone every time it does so.
Copy.
1 copy.
Crew reported that they didn't have any leaks, so the work to get ready to finish depressurizing the crew lock is going on. They are just under 5 PSI right now, pounds per square inch, and the next milestone they'll look for is the 2 pounds per square inch mark.
Christina, for your next steps. We are not there yet, but when we get to 2, I'll call you to take the depressed pump man ISO valve to closed. Again, that will be at 2.0.
Copy at 2, taking it closed. Doing 2.9 on the pressure. Okay, airlock pressure. Airlock pressure 2.2. Okay. .0 for the airlock pressure.
And we concur. You can take the depressed pump man ISO valve closed.
Press pump man ISO valve closed.
And Christina, on the UIA, switch the depressed pump power to off.
Depressed pump power is off. OFF.
Okay, and for both crew members, we'll now take your initial tether configuration for egress.
Okay. And Christina, I'm in a pretty good spot. I've got everything down by me.
All right.
I'm just going to work through it.
Okay.
Okay. EV1 safety tether pack. Got a red hook to my right D-ring extender gate closed, slider lock, black on black. Crew reel unlock. Hooks on the crew reel, yellow hook on the anchor reel, gate closed, slider lock, black on black. Anchor hook on my mini workstation.
Hearing astronaut Nick Hague there going through some of his equipment and again getting ready for the spacewalk, which will begin when the crew turns their power to battery from their spacesuits.
Here we go. Eyes on my right waist tether. Anchor hook to the right waist tether. On the D-ring extender, gate closed, slider lock, black on black. It's connected to Christina's anchor hook. Both gate closed, slider lock, black on black. Anchor reel unlocked. Yellow hook on the anchor reel, gate closed, slider lock, black on black. Green hook on the crew reel. And unlocked. Crew reel is unlocked, and her red hook is on her left D-ring extender, gate closed, slider lock, black on black. I can see her waist tether from her left D-ring extender. Anchor is gate closed, slider lock, black on black. To her, and then to the D-ring extender in the airlock, I've got gate closed, slider lock, black on black. Christina, I can also see your other waist tether. It is On your D-ring, directly, gate closed, slider lock, black on black.
Copy. And I see your left waist tether on your D-ring, gate closed, slider lock, black on black.
Okay. That covers us.
Okay, that looks like good tether config, Houston airlock. Do you concur with the tether configuration?
We concur, Ann.
Crew gave a good report on those all-important tethers that are going to make sure they stay safely attached to the space station as they go through their test today.
Okay.
Still working to begin to finish up the depressurization of the crew lock that they are currently in. It's about 1.4 psi's at the moment.
The EV hatch will go to open.
Copy that. So, Christina, you're going to need to move a little bit further to the port.
Okay. My helmet, see if I go NATRM port. Does that help you?
If you go a little bit more zenith and to the side, if you rotate a little bit, that would give me some space, and I can get underneath that AGB, I think. You have eyes on the pin. Just don't want to
kick it. The big pin is right underneath your right foot, but it's between your legs. You're good.
Great.
Here, if I move this leg a little towards me, then it's definitely not on it.
Yeah, and I need to come back towards you. Catching up on something. I think we're just going plus to plus, potentially.
Okay, the strap pin is between your legs, about at your ankles. I think that's a good spot for it.
Okay. This is going to be...
Try now. I moved my leg. It might have been inhibiting your plus moving.
I think that is going to be a position that could work.
Okay, and I am able to secure your legs for patch opening when you tell me you're ready.
Okay. I think this is going to work for positioning.
For the EV crews, as we continue to watch this P-press, Christina, to your right hand is the SCU pouch for Nick. It's kind of come down to his knees, and we'll need to work that back toward his direction when you get to that point.
Copy, okay. Seat 9.
And sorry, your left hand. By your left hand, under his knee.
I'm tugging on it.
Looks like Nick was able to grab it with the tether.
Yep, I see that now. Got it. Thanks. I'm showing airlock pressure 0.9. Yes,
copy. And I'm showing 1 PSID on the hatch.
Copy.
I've kind of slid more starboard again. I think the AGB is kind of applying a little pressure, pushing me this way. So when we're ready to open the hatch, then I'm going to get into position, and then we'll make it happen.
Sounds good.
Just a few minutes left in this depressurization period. The spacewalk will officially start when the crew turns their battery power on their spacesuits. That'll mark the official beginning of the spacewalk, and then they'll be going outside of the hatch afterward. They are, of course, well ahead of schedule today. They were scheduled to go out the door around 7:20 a.m. Central Time. So we are getting an early start on today's 6.5-hour spacewalk for Christina Koch and Nick Hague.
and point 0.8 PSID on the hatch.
Copy. Copy.
And Nick, my DCM is blank, so I don't have pressure right now.
Okay. I've got the gauge right in front of me.
Yep.
Continuing to wait while the crew on board finishes depressurizing the crew lock that Christina Cook and Nick Hague are currently in, all ready to go in their spacesuits. They've just got a little over half a PSI left before they'll finish depressurizing the airlock, and we'll be watching for them to turn their suit batteries on so that they will officially begin today's spacewalk, which is going to focus on finishing up the switch out of 6 new lithium-ion batteries for 12 old nickel-hydrogen batteries. A lot of that work was done robotically and also on a spacewalk that took place just 1 week ago, but they were going to finish up the installation and connections for 3 of those new batteries and get one of the old ones in a good stowage position. For each lithium-ion battery that they're installing, they're actually getting rid of 2 of the nickel-hydrogen batteries because these new batteries are so efficient. However, they also weigh about 300 pounds on the ground, so they're pretty massive, and we made good use of the space station's robotic arm to do the actual switch out of the batteries. What's left for the spacewalkers to do is to install adapter plates that will finish connecting those batteries to the power system, and they'll be bolting those down and mating some cables so that those batteries can now begin collecting the energy generated by the space station's solar arrays. The batteries were delivered by a Japanese HTV vehicle last year. The HTV delivered those 6 new batteries and will be taking 9, or the next HTV will be taking 9 away from the space station to get rid of them, but we'll be left with 3 that will be stored long-term on board the space station. However, as I mentioned earlier, one of the lithium-ion batteries that was connected during the last spacewalk is seeing a problem. They're not able to see it recharge here on the ground, so we've actually decided that we'll switch that one back out and put 2 of the old nickel-hydrogen batteries in its place, as well as a new battery discharge control unit. Spacewalkers are going to be getting ready for some of that work today. Then the robotics team here on the ground will use the space station's robotic arm to complete most of it, with some cleanup work done by the spacewalkers on the 3rd spacewalk, which is scheduled for April 8th.
Close. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . .
Airlock Houston on 1. We see your Delta P, less than 0.5. You have a go for the hatch.
Copy, go for the hatch.
Great, Nick. And Nick, you can expect it to be nighttime when you open the hatch.
Good night. Helmet lights are on.
Switching to a view of the exterior of the space station, now that the crew lock is down to less than half a PSI, that means that the crew can open the hatch, and there you see it opening at the top of your screen. That doesn't mean that the spacewalk has started yet. We'll get that call when the crew switches their batteries on their spacesuits.
Okay.
Down a little.
Mm-hmm.
Can you pull the AGB towards you at all? To the port?
I can turn towards it. I'm pulling it for it. How's that? Good. What's your status?
Halfway open.
Copy.
Just trying to get it to turn. I'm going to throw a hand over my leg if you can.
That.
Good. Hatch is open and locked.
Copy. Thanks, Mark.
Copy, the hatch is open and locked.
In Houston,
We'll take the emergency MPEB to close.
copy that. And thermal covers
And from the
open.
airlock, the emergency MPEB is closed. So at this time, I'm going to hand you over to your ground IV. Have a great afternoon, and we will see you in a few hours.
Thanks for time, man.
Copy. Thanks, Dan. And back over to UIA.
That was Capcom Tracy Caldwell Dyson signing off and handing her microphone over to Thomas Pesquet, who is a European Space Agency astronaut.
Moving on to the post-depress section of the Q card, on your DCM, you'll both switch the power to BAT, stagger switch throws, and expect a warning tone.
Great. One's in bat.
EV2's in bat.
Copy EV1 and 2 in BAT, and you will check your display.
EV2 display functional.
One's got a good display.
Okay, on the UIA, Christina, you'll switch the power for EV1 and 2 switches to off OFF.
Copy. EMU1, power off OFF. EMU2, power off OFF. Both LEDs are out.
Copy, all LEDs are out. Now for both of you, you will disconnect your SCU from your DCM, install the DCM cover, and stow the SCU in their respective pouches.
One copy.
2 copies in work.
The crew confirmed to Capcom Thomas Pesquet that they have turned their suits to battery power, so the spacewalk has officially begun for the day. That official start time was 6:42 a.m. Central Time. Getting started now on what is scheduled to be a 6.5-hour spacewalk, the first for Christina Koch and the second for Nick Hague.
You'll now check that the depressed pump manual isolation valve is closed.
It is closed.
Copy closed, and for both of you, you can take your temperature control valve to max hot.
Copy. One in work.
In work.
One's max hot.
With their spacesuits on battery power, the crew now doing some of the final steps before they begin heading outside the hatch. The first to come out today will be Nick Hague. He is EV1 today. That means he's the lead spacewalker and will be wearing the spacesuit marked with a red stripe. Christina Koch is EV2, and she will be wearing an all-white spacesuit.
Now adjust your temperature control valve as required.
Copy.
Copy. Complete.
If you could report your suit P gauge to us, and it's night out there, so like Anne said, you might want your visors up.
And 1, suit P gauge 4.2.
On 2, suit P gauge 4.3.
Copy. Good numbers. And we see the thermal cover is already open.
Hey, from.
And Nick, you are go to egress the airlock.
Copy. One's go to egress. Christina, start out.
Okay, and I've got the AGB. Wait, standby 1.
Okay. Good. Here we go.
Yep, AGB is clear.
Okay.
Beginning to see astronaut Nick Hague leaving the airlock behind the airlock hatch cover there that's in the way at the moment. He's the first out of the hatch today. Will be followed by Christina Koch for her first spacewalk. And as you heard the team warning them, they are, of course, in the nighttime portion of this orbit around the Earth. They're currently about 253 miles above the Pacific Ocean and heading south towards the southern tip of South America, where they'll be coming into sunlight.
Bag number 1 to him.
Copy.
Okay, I've got a local for my VRT to get ready.
Okay, and I'm ready to pass it out when you're ready.
Before she makes her way outside the airlock, Cook will be handing a couple of bags of equipment to Hague to get that out of the airlock ahead of herself. And then their first task will actually not be related to the battery work that they are doing. This will be setting up a spare adjustable grapple bar for use in the future.
Okay, coming back.
Got it, and this ball hook is going to the airlock gearing extender.
Okay.
Copy, Christina, and your next step is going to be to transfer crew log bag 2 to Nick when he's ready.
Copy.
Hey, let me get this in a good position, Christina. Copy. And let's see if this will reach.
And EV2 from Houston, looks like your left safer handle is halfway up, so if you could give it a small nudge, put it back in position.
V2 for my left paper handle?
That's correct.
How's that?
I see your HCM down. If you want to tiller in a little bit to your side. Yep, they're both down.
Copy. I moved a little bit now.
Okay.
And I have the rep steering when you're ready.
Okay, I'm going to realize this here in a sec. Go back to you.
Copy.
We copy in Nick. You will stow that crew lock back 2 on the airlock handrail 0555, which is below the starboard toolbox.
And A-firm, it is attached to handrail row 555.
Copy, and your next step, Christina, is going to be to transfer the AGB to Nick, and Nick, you're going to hold that and hold while EV2 is egressing.
And copy that, Thomas. And we talked about temp stowing it for translation adaptation. So
And
I'm going to put, go ahead.
And Nick, it's completely up to you. You can temp stow it. It's completely your call.
Okay, copy, Thomas. I'm going to temp stow it on the aft starboard quarter of the circumferential handrail, and I'll tend it out of the way while Anna egresses.
Okay, sounds like a good plan.
Astronaut Nick Hague there talking with Capcom Thomas Pesquet, and you may have heard him call Christina Cook Nana. That is Christina Cook's call sign with her fellow astronauts. You'll hear that occasionally, probably throughout the day, just as Anne McLean's call sign is Animal.
All right, if you're ready, I'll push it to you, and I will take a look at the location of the ret that goes to the airlock. That may be one you can remove.
Okay, yeah, if you tilt it down a little bit for me. There you go.
Give it to you.
Just hold that position right there.
Holding.
We're going to let this one zip
Yep.
back. Okay, it's coming back. You want to make sure you unlock that reel.
Yep, I will.
Okay, and I'm going to tend it as it comes out. Okay, and keep our safety tethers clear of it. There we go. Okay.
Okay, it is tended back. The reel is in unlock.
Clear egress. I'm sending it to the aft. I'm on the aft half and holding the AGB away from you so you can get out.
Copy. Egress didn't work.
Copy. Nicely done.
All right, egress.
Okay, Christina, with you coming out, we'll remind you not to remove your waist tether from the gearing extender and to remain in the daisy chain until the slingshot is set up.
Copy.
You see now there Christina Cook wearing the all-white spacesuit outside the hatch for the first time,
Okay.
beginning her first spacewalk, and of course Nick Hague on his second now. His first was last Friday with Anne McLean.
Okay. Let's see our safety tethers are all nice and tangle-free in between us. Okay, starting top with you. Your WVS, if you want to punch that again, the light came off.
Yep, yours is off as well.
Okay, working. Okay, I've got green light.
And I have a green light.
Okay.
Confirm yours is green as well.
Yep, okay, I see good helmet lights. Let me look at tabs. I see one. If you go...
And you have 3 tabs up, but your manual isolation safer handle is up as well. Your HCM safer handle is down, but you need to get that down, and I can help you out if needed.
The man ISO is up?
A-firm.
Okay.
There, yep. Got it.
Down. Okay. And I see 3 tabs up for you. So,
yeah, I'm showing you in a good config.
Okay, I've got a dry half. How about you?
Half is dry.
Okay. Come on, are you happy with those buddy checks?
Okay, Nick, if you could confirm as well just one more time that Christina's safer handles are down on both sides.
A-firm. And I see the HCM down and the man ISO is down as well. Yeah, good.
Okay. Okay, that's a good buddy check. I'll remind you guys to take it easy for the first hour of this EVA. And with that, Nick, you have a go to translate to P1 to set up the slingshot. And Christina, now's the time to perform your translation adaptation. I can guide you through it, or you can just perform it on your own.
Okay, copy. I'm good on my own. We're performing that. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up my local, get out of here.
Thomas Pesquet giving the crew the go-ahead to begin their actual work for the space station. As you heard there, he's sending Nick Hague to set up some safety tethers called slingshots while Christina Cook gets into place.
I'll see you in a bit.
All right, see you in a little bit.
The first task for the crew will be to install a new adjustable grapple bar on an external stowage platform number 2, that can be used as a spare and also as an upgrade for future spacewalks. Again, this morning's spacewalk started at 6:42 a.m. Central Time, well ahead of schedule, and they are beginning their work now on what is scheduled to be a 6.5-hour spacewalk.
Top of the Cedarspur.
Copy, Nick.
How's WVS acting today?
For now, we don't have you, but we have good hopes.
Okay. I'm on page 1.
I'm RAB2. I am feeling comfortable with my translation adaptation. I'm going to begin to put the AGBL on my BRT.
Okay, Christina, sounds good.
Christina Cook taking some time to get used to the feeling of being on a spacewalk. And moving around outside the space station. Now says she's feeling good and ready to get started on the work. And the first thing is to get that AGB, as she called it, the adjustable grapple bar, onto her tether so that it can be that she can move it into place on the external stowage platform. Short handover here of satellites that allow us to get views and communications with the crew, but we should be getting those back just here in a second.
Christina, we're back from a 20-second.
And there we are.
And in a few minutes, you'll be transitioning to day, so you'll get the first rays of sun warming you up.
Copy that. And tomorrow I just arrived at the starboard seat approach.
Copy, Nick. Thanks.
Seeing here a live view from Christina Cook's helmet camera that you can you'll be able to tell the difference between the crew members' helmet cameras if we are able to get views from both of them by the number in the bottom of the screen. You can see an 18 here in the bottom right-hand corner. That marks Christina Cook's helmet camera view. We don't currently have one from Nick Hague. We hope to get one before we get too far into the spacewalk. If we do, his will be marked with a number 20.
3651, check the gate is closed and the hook is locked.
I've attached my anchor hook to 3651, gate closed, slider lock, black on black.
This view showing us a little bit of a look inside the crew lock portion of the airlock that the crew just came out of, while Christina gets the new adjustable grapple bar attached to her tether so she can move it to an external stowage platform.
3652.
Meanwhile, Nick Hague is setting up some safety tethers on other areas of the space station, specifically the P1 section of the truss. You can see him here in this view from space station external cameras.
To us right now. All good.
Good news. I have E2 anchor hook to handrail 3652, gate closed, slider lock, black on black.
Copy. You have both anchors attached, gate closed, slider locked, black on black. You can give Christina a go to release her waist tether from the airlock gearing.
Copy that, Thomas. Christina, you are go.
Copy and work.
And Christina and Nick, good news. We have WVS for both of you.
Hey.
As Thomas Pesquet reported just then, we have Nick Hague's helmet camera now, and as I promised, that is marked at the bottom right-hand corner with a 20. That's how you'll differentiate it from Christina Cook's, which has an 18 in the bottom right-hand corner.
Work.
There's the orange glow of sunrise.
And Nick, we see you making your way back. You'll translate to the port side of FHRC on the ESP2 via the lab struts and the gap spanner between ESP2 and the lab.
Okay, copy that, Tomas.
Thermal cover is closed.
Copy, Christina. Good job there, and you can now translate around the starboard edge of ESP2 to the starboard side of the FHRC on ESP2. And as a reminder, you want to be mindful of your safety tether. You can fail lead your safety tether under the trunnion pin of the ESP2.
Copy.
Great view there of astronaut Christina Koch, still at the airlock, but getting ready to make her way to the external stowage platform where she'll be dropping off an adjustable grapple bar. That's the first task of this spacewalk before the crew members get into the real meat of it, which is in finishing up the installation of 3 new batteries for the space station.
I'm at the lab strip.
Copy, Nick. Thanks for the update.
And EV2 is on ESP2.
Copy, Christina, and you'll meet up with Nick on the forward side of ESP2.
Once she gets to the external stowage platform, or ESP2, as Pisquet just called it there, Christina Koch will be handing off the adjustable grapple bar to Nick Hague, who's waiting for her there.
EV2 forward face ESP2.
All right, we see you both on the forward face of ESP2. And Nick and Christina, once you both have a good stable position, Christina, you will retrieve the AGB from your BRT and pass the 2-pin side to Nick.
Copy.
And Nick, you will install this 2-pin side into the FHRC receptacles and soft dock it and hold it for Christina.
Copy that, Tomas. And then I'm going to adjust my TCB here real quick.
Okay, copy. I'm going to do that after you. First, I'll get this AGB.
Time got a lot warmer.
Quite a bit warmer. I think I'll do the same while you're doing it, because I've got the AGB in a good spot. Actually, I'll hold off.
Yeah, I adjusted mine. If you want to...
I'll hand this off to you then, adjust. So
Okay.
I can move it in a workstation.
Yep, that sounds good.
When you're in position, I'll release it from my BRT.
Okay. I'm in position.
Hagen Cook commenting that it's gotten a little bit warmer now that the sun has come up on the space station, or rather the space station has moved into the sunlight. Station's just about to reach the southernmost portion of this orbit, just over, or just off the coast of South America. They're about 264 miles above the Pacific Ocean now, and are about to begin heading northeast towards the coast of Africa.
All right, you can pull your waist up. There you go.
Hagen Cook actually launched together to the International Space Station earlier this month, and were able to practice this spacewalk together in our neutral buoyancy laboratory, the enormous swimming pool that we use here at Johnson Space Center to train for spacewalks.
Need to flip it around.
Okay, that'll work.
They were able to practice this spacewalk together before they left Houston for the last time. You can see both spacewalkers here at the external stowage platform 2, where they're dropping off that adjustable grapple bar. Nick Hague in the center of the screen with Christina Cook at the top. Hague will be holding the grapple bar in place while Christina Cook bolts it down. And that's going to be stowed outside for future use as a spare and also an upgrade.
I think what I'm going to try to do is, if you can hold it in the current position, I'm going to work down lower on the FHRC handrail.
Copy.
So that we can pass it below that APFR.
I can unfold the ingress aid if that would help.
Let's see what this means. Yeah, if you can unfold that. There you go. We just got to get the, if you can drop it all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the AGB, it's not going anywhere. You know, if you want to hold the AGB, I'll reach out and push it the rest of the way.
Hey, got the AGB.
Definitely stiff.
Yes.
And we see you guys working with the APFR. You're free to reconfigure that APFR as much as you like. In case you want to take it out of the way, you can do this.
Hey, Tom, we just not extended, but we unfolded the ingress aid. I think that bought us what we needed.
Okay, Nick, sounds good.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to deconflict my waist cutter with the pin.
Okay.
Okay, you can pull it your way.
Go. Rotate. If you want to extend it, then I'll get it in these two slots, and that'll help us out a little.
That's going to work.
It's handles on the top. There you go.
And then Nick, again, because I gave you that step long ago, let me repeat. You'll install those two pin side into the FHRC receptacles, soft docket, and hold it for Christina.
Copy that, Thomas, and work. Stand by. There's a soft dock for this. It's soft dock.
Crew continuing to work on getting that adjustable grapple bar in place. This task is scheduled to take about 20 minutes for them to complete, and then they'll move on to the battery work that is the main agenda of this spacewalk.
Pen N is in, going for the lock.
Okay, and I'll hold it.
Good close-up view there of the grapple bar.
Here we go.
And we're locked.
Are you ready for that?
I'm ready for my red.
They're actually installing it on a flex hose rotary coupler on board that's stowed on the external platform.
So do you guys confirm you have it locked already?
Confirmed, Thomas. We have it locked in the FHRC position. All 3 pins have it fixed to the FHRC. We've released the RET back to Christina.
Copy. Awesome job. And once Christina has recovered her RET, you can pass her on your PGT, and I'll have settings for you, Christina, when you're ready.
Copy. Let's reconfigure and get BRT.
The RET that Thomas Pesquet there was talking about with the crew is an RET, which is a retractable tether that the crew members use for keeping equipment attached or themselves attached to the space station.
I'm ready for the PD.
There you go.
Right, come on, I have the PGT. Ready for step.
Okay, Christina, your settings on that PGT are going to be Alpha 2, clockwise 1.
Copy, and I'll do a cal and report. Good LED test. Cal pass.
Copy, good Cal, and Alpha 2 clockwise 1 with that 2-inch socket. You can drive those AGB bolts 2 to 4 turns each and expect a hard stop.
I have Alpha 2 clockwise 1 set. Having the hard stop.
Good read back.
Oh, Nick Hague there handing off the pistol grip tool to Christina Cook to use in driving this bolt. That is a tool we'll be seeing a lot of today as one of the tasks and finalizing the installation of the new batteries and the adapter plates that the crew will be putting in place is bolting them down. So we'll be seeing a lot of this as they use it to drive the bolts, much like we would use an electric drill or screwdriver here on the ground.
Okay, I counted 5 turns. A few mics and LED 3.7 foot-pounds.
We copy 5 turns, 3.7. Did you get a good green light?
Green light.
Okay, you can now hand this PGT back to Nick, and with that we'll take a glove inspection and a HAP check.
Copy, Thomas. Good work.
Copy. For EV2, no change. The glove.
Copy EV2, good gloves, and did you say dry hap as well?
Dry hap.
Copy, Christina. How about you, Nick?
Hey, PGT stowed. Let me take a look. And Tamon, no change to the gloves, dry hap.
Copy, Nick. No change for the gloves, dry hap. Would like you to inspect the AGB and confirm that all the pins look good and haven't been bumped or anything.
Copy, Tamon. Looks good. I'll snap a photo so you guys have it.
And it sounds like a good plan.
Those calls are something that we'll be hearing a lot today as well. The calls for glove checks and HAP checks. The glove inspection is just a chance for the crew to pause and make sure they haven't received any cuts on their gloves, which we like to keep a close eye on. And the HAP check, that stands for, it's an acronym, HAP, that stands for Helmet Absorption Pad, and that's just a check to make sure that the crew isn't experiencing any water leakage inside their helmets.
Copy, Nick. Looks good to us too.
They'll be doing that kind of periodically throughout the spacewalk, just to check to make sure their suits are all in safe configurations as they keep moving through their task.
Inward. They're flat.
Wait.
There you go. And say it is folded flat, Tamon.
Yep, that's complete.
Copy, so that first task is complete. We're just about right on time, so you can now translate to your work site. We wanted to take it easy during that translation for Metreds to stabilize during that first hour. So go to translate to P4 and take it easy.
Copy that, Tamon.
And Christina, for you, the translation, yes, correct. It's to go retrieve your crew log bag on the airlock toolbox.
North.
As Capcom Thomas Pesquet said there, the crew is pretty much right on time. They're just under 40 minutes into today's spacewalk, and with the timeline accounting for 20 minutes of post-depressurization and then some setup work, and 20 minutes to install this adjustable grapple bar that they just put on the Flex Hose rotary coupler on an external stowage platform. They are right on time. Now they'll move and get ready for the battery work that is going to take up the rest of the spacewalk. They'll be installing adapter plates for 3 of the batteries, the new lithium-ion batteries that have already been installed by the space station's robotic arm, connecting those so that they can start charging up with power generated by the space station's solar arrays.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
Great view here of Christina Cook making her way back to the airlock to pick up some equipment, and in the background the Atlantic Ocean as the crew, as the space station begins heading out over the Atlantic Ocean towards the coast of Africa. They're currently 262 miles above the Pacific Ocean.
Christina, you're a go to stow this crew log bag number 2 on your BRT.
Copy, and work.
Seeing a view now of Nick Hague as he moves to his work site on the P4 segment of the space station's truss, where the crew will be hanging out for most of the day, moving between the exposed pallet where the adapter plates are and the P4 truss where they'll be installing them. View here from his helmet camera, and every now and then you will see a mirror on the inside of the wrist as you're looking through their helmet cams, and we have a question from social media about that. Abu asking, what is the mirror-like object on the inside of the astronaut's wrist? And it is indeed a mirror, and it allows them to look at the controls that are on the chest of their spacesuits. That's with the helmet and really no neck to the spacesuit, they're not able to move their head to look down, so that allows them to see the reflection of their controls, which are actually written backwards so that they can read them in those mirrors. And Christina Cook here back at the station's airlock getting some equipment. And we have another question from Andrew, who is asking, do the spacewalkers close the hatch behind them, or do they leave it open? And they do leave it open so that in case of emergency, they don't have any delay in getting back inside the space station if they need to.
How's it going, Christina?
Going well. Got my crew lock bag on my BRT and just releasing the rest.
Gauntlets are down, Toma, crossing the Sarge.
Copy, Nick. Thanks for checking. And Nick, once you get there, I want to give you a step a bit ahead. It's going to be to stow your crew log bag number 1 on that handrail 5127.
My crew lock bag is stored on my BRT.
Copy. Christina, you can translate to the EP.
Copy.
While Christina Cook is picking up a bag of equipment, Nick Hague is storing a separate bag of equipment at the battery work site.
V2 on the Cetus front.
Copy, Nana. I gotcha.
Great view of Christina Cook here making her way out to the Crew Equipment and Translation Aid card, or CETA card as you'll hear it called probably throughout the day. That is where some of the equipment they'll be working with is stowed. The crew will be moving between that where they'll be picking up the adapter plates off the exposed pallet brought up by the HTV full of batteries. moving between that and the work site on the P4 truss segment, and specifically the Integrated Electronics Assembly, which you'll probably hear referred to quite often as the IEA.
Work.
And that's on the radiator side, right? Forward.
Yep, just under the radiator right now.
Copy. And Christina, your next step is going to be, when you get there, to configure that bridge. And if you remember, we talked about dropping your green hook on the nadir handrail of the Sea Clark if you want to do that.